Afternoon, one and all. I welcome you all in PCT's webinar. Today, we have a charismatic personality along with us. I request Anirban Gupta, sir, to introduce our guest. Sir, all yours.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show Gang of Gurus. Today we have a very special cuisine, and to showcase that cuisine, we have a very special guest. The cuisine is the mother cuisine of the entire European cuisine. And the chef I'm talking about, she has studied law, and because of her sheer passion, it triggered to become a chef and a great chef, a chef guru. She is from a beautiful city in France, in Nice, where she runs an Airbnb, a historical city in Nice, and she runs an Airbnb. And her breakfast, the brunch, is one of the best in the town. So we have the privilege in our show, Chef Emma. So I request Chef Emma, and we welcome Chef Emma in this show. Chef Emma, so please, the show is yours.
Thank you very much for this introduction, and welcome at this class. Yes, I'm a French chef. I live in France, in Nice, like he said, and my specialty are on baking. I love cooking cakes, and I'm cooking a lot. Today, I will run a class and I will introduce you the French crepe. So everyone is knowing the French crepe. It's a very thin dough, and you could find that in the street. But today I will teach you something else. I will teach you an apple crepe. And the apple crepe, I'll upgrade a little bit the level of the crepe as we are introducing apple inside. So the dough will be not very thin like you used to seeing when you are traveling or not, or in the book, and it's a largest dough. But first, I want to speak a little bit with you about the French cuisine. And I want to ask you one question. So please, you have to write your message. What is a French cuisine for you? And could you name 3 dishes which are typical French for you? So, and I want to see your response, because you will be very surprised when I will speak about the French cuisine. There's a lot of cliché, which are some of them are very good, but cliché, I want to tell you what's the real French cuisine and not what you could read in any book, what you think about the French cuisine. So please, on conversation, write 3 dishes from France that you know, which are typical from you, which are typical dish from France. So could you, students, please, could you write? Yes. No, you don't have any idea about, I don't have any response.
Students, please write, okay, madam, yes.
Yes, I can see. Thank you, Alicia. Macaron, yes, that's very French. And then, chocolat soufflé, chocolate soufflé, soufflé au chocolat. Yes, good. That's right. Pasta, croissant, yes. Madeleine, yes. I agree with all that you are writing. Flamiche, yes. Pavis, tomatoes dauphinoises, oui. Pommes de terre dauphine, baguette, of course. Bœuf bourguignon, yes. Hey, you're good. Gougère, yes. You're good. And you were not with a very big cliché. Lemon tart, yes. Tarte au citron, we say. Tarte au citron. You're good. Ratatouille, because of the famous movies. But yes, and French éclair. Oh, it's super good. Yes. Ratatouille, it's a dish from the south of France. Tarte tatin, I love the tarte tatin. Yes, I love everything. Everything you mentioned, I love that. So yes, you're right. I'm very happy because none of you have written that frog and snail are a typical dish from France. So yes, you are not with those clichés, Chéri Clafoutis. Yes, very good as well. So you are not with those old clichés that French are eating frogs or snails, which are true, but it was on the old time. It was years ago. So yes, you've got a good vision of the French vegetable gratin. Yes, jambon beurre. Yes, sandwich. It's a sandwich jambon beurre. Yes, vegetable gratin, crème caramel, lasagna. Yes. Lasagna and pasta are more Italian dishes than French dishes, but we are very close countries, so yes. French coconut pie, I will not say French coconut pie as a typical French dish because there is no coconuts in France. So that's why coconuts, not really typical from French. Cherry clafoutis, chocolate mousse, opera cake. Oh, yes, apple crepe, of course. So yes, that's right. Pierre tart, jambon beurre, yes. You are very good because most of the people are thinking that that French cuisine is very, very, very sophisticated and very difficult. Some dish could be a little bit more difficult than some other, but most of the time dishes are very easy to cook as we are cooking a lot. I know that in some countries the culture is not on the food, and but in France we spend our life around food. We are speaking about food. We spend a lot of time in a table, and when we are eating together, it's a way to gathering people to speak about everything, and as well to speak about food and wine. So in our culture, food is very important, and even our president wants to introduce the French cuisine in the French world patrimony, as it's so much important. But I want to say that the cuisine that my parents were doing, there was 30 years ago, is totally different than the French cuisine that we are doing nowadays. First, because there is a lot of new fruits and vegetables which are introduced in France. For example, I am thinking about kiwi, coconut, kiwi. There was 30 years ago, it was impossible to find those fruits. And now I saw that someone say cinnamon apple boster. It's more American cinnamon. And now, yes, we are cooking with coconuts, with kiwi, with passion fruit, but those fruits were not available in France. There was only 30 years. And the second thing, that's the dietetic. So we are a lot of taking care about what we are eating. By the past, we are cooking with a lot of butter. The butter was very important in the way to cook. Nowadays, we want to go at the beach and we want to have a very beautiful figure. So we try to avoid a little bit the butter. So we are cooking with a lot of less butter than by the past. So all those things, dietetic, new vegetable, new fruits are changing the way to cook in France. And we've got as well the molecular kitchen, which is a new fashion way to cook that we love a lot. So, but it's another part. And today we are focused on the French apple crepe. So it's a very, very easy recipe. It's a traditional one. And you will see you could do it all together. And I hope that some of you are in your kitchen and we will do it together. So you need for that 2 apples. That's okay? So let's start to peel off the apples. And I just want to remind you that when you peel off an apple, this is the most of the time the apple which turn around your hand more than the knife. So you see, and after you have to cut the apple in little pieces. So I show you just here. You will see better. And I cut the apple in little pieces this way. I put off the core of the apples and I cut it in little slices. So are you cooking? Who is cooking at the same time than me? Could you tell me if you are cooking or not? Yes, coq au vin. Ooh, it's a very old dish, coq au vin, when I'm seeing you. So you cut the apple in little pieces this way. If you have any question about the French cuisine, you could write it on your on the chat if you want to. Okay. So I'm peel off the 2 apples, and I hope that you are doing the same. And the second part, I cut it. I move the core of the apple. Everything is okay? Yes. And now I will caramelize the apples. So most of the time, I'm running cooking class, and most of the time people are asking me if they can use another thing than the sugar. No, not at all, because only the real sugar will make caramel. You have to know that the caramel is a chemical reaction, so you need to use the real sugar. In the sugar, you have 2 molecules, glucose and fructose. And when the sugar is on high temperatures, the molecules are checked and split into and turn on caramel. So coconut sugar is impossible to do caramel with coconut sugar. You need to use the real sugar. Okay? So if you want to use brown sugar, I prefer that you use brown sugar than white sugar. You have 2 kinds of sugars, the white and the brown, and I prefer the brown because the glycemic index of the brown sugar is lower than the white sugar. That's why. And another thing, that the flavor of the brown sugar is higher than the white sugar. So when you are cooking, when you are baking, when you could use the brown sugar, do it. It's much more better in any way. So for caramelize the apples, you need a non-stick pan. It's very important to have a non-stick pan because you are not doing an omelette where you check you're removing what you are doing. A non-stick pan, so it's most of the time it's a black pan this way. So you don't need to use a crepe pan if you don't have a crepe pan at your place. You could use any kind of pan. I prefer that you use a very large one because if the pan is very large, it's easier to cook it. So you start to turn on the stove at maximum and you add butter. Butter, you need 50 grams of butter, which is 3 tablespoons. In India, are you counting with the metric system or with the American system? Are you counting in cup or in gram or both? I don't know that.
Chef, we are counting in both. Both are being used. Yeah.
So I can speak with both measure. So 50 grams of butter, which is 3 tablespoons of butter. So butter inside the pan. And as soon as the butter is melted, I will introduce the apples inside with the sugar. For the sugar, you need 50 grams of sugar, which is a 1/4 cup of sugar. So I put all my apples inside and I will introduce the sugar. 50 grams of sugar, a 1/4 cup of sugar. So, and I pour all the sugar onto my apples this way. Temperature is on maximum. And now I stir. And because of the butter the high temperature, the butter and the sugar, it will be bubbling a little bit. So, and the apples will caramelize. So I show you. To be exact, I pour a little bit less than 3 tablespoons of butter because I know that I will eat this crepe just after the session. And I try to be a little bit on diet. So you see, it's bubbling. Here, you've got little bubbles this way. It's exactly what I am expecting. And in a few minutes, the apples will turn in caramel. The sugar will turn in caramel, not the apples. And the coloration will be brown. Now the coloration is translucent and it's still bubbling. You see that? So temperature maximum, I repeat, 3 tablespoons of butter and a 1/4 cup of sugar, which is 50 grams of butter and 50 grams of sugar. So now I will do the crepe batter. I just let the apples like it is. I don't need to check on it. And I'm checking with my nose. It's smelling very good in my kitchen. And in a few minutes, it will be smelling differently. It will be smelling super good. And when it's smelling super good, you've got this chemical reaction where the molecules are split in two. And then at this moment, I know that my caramel is ready. So I need to have a look, but not checking all the time. Just have a look and things to stir all those apples sometime, but not so much. It's a very easy recipe. Then in a big bowl, I got my big bowl this way. I take 2 eggs. We've got 2 eggs. I crack the 2 eggs inside. And I'm adding sugar, 50 grams of sugar, a 1/4 cup of sugar inside the eggs. Sugar, 50 grams, a 1/4 cup of sugar. And I start to check, to mix. When you are mixing eggs and sugar, you are introducing air inside. So, but you don't need to mix until the eggs are turning in the light yellow. It's not this kind of recipe. It's just a daily recipe. So you check a little bit and you say, yes, that's okay. It's well checked, well mixed this way. So, and then you add a pinch of salt. Why a pinch of salt? Because the salt exudes the flavor of the sweet. So anytime that you are cooking something sweet, add a pinch of salt. And you could as well use salted butter when you are making this recipe, because the salt which is in the butter will exude the flavor. You could do like this way, salted caramel. So salt when you are cooking, for example, a chocolate cake, it's very good. And I'm using all the time for making chocolate cake salted butter. It's really upgrades the recipe. So that's something very good.
Chef, a question from the students, vegetarian students. So if there is any substitute of eggs, if somebody don't want to use eggs, so can they use anything else?
No, there's no substitute of eggs. It's a traditional French recipe. So it really needs to be eggs. There's no substitute for that. There's very few ingredients. You will ask me for something else, but egg substitute, no. I know that you are buying sometime in some grocery, some egg substitute, but the result will be totally different. It's like if you are using another kind of flour than the all-purpose flour, the result is totally different. So, and I have tested as well to make caramel with coconut sugar, stevia, but it's absolutely horrible. You really need to use the ingredient. So I'm sorry, if you want to use eggs, you will not eat the traditional apple crepe. So then you have only 2 eggs. I know that some of you are vegan in India, a lot of you, but eggs are essential. It's not something that we could say, oh no, I don't need eggs. You need eggs. So you have 2 eggs, a 1/4 cup of sugar, and a pinch of salt. And now I will add 1 tablespoon of oil, any kind of oil. It could be colza, sunflower, canola. Yes, caramel should be brown in color. Yes, brown. I mean light brown. Yes, it's exactly that. I show you my caramel. Just right now, because I smell that my caramel is just finished. Now, you see, I show you my apples this way. I take my chopping board because most of the time, you see the color I am expecting, this color. So when you start to reach this color, you could turn down the temperature over the apples. So only some start to be brown light. Yes. So now I turn down the temperature. If your apples are already brown, you could stop to cook it. So you just have to have this color, and as soon as you have it, this is okay. So let's continue with the crepe batter. You have 2 eggs, a 1/4 cup of sugar, a pinch of salt, and now I want you to add 1 tablespoon of oil. So, and I say any kind of oil. You could use sunflower, you could use coconut, not coconuts. You could. I never try with coconut oil. Oh, I'm sorry. You hear the hammer? It's bang, bang, bang. There's work in my building. So 1 tablespoon of oil inside the crepe batter. You mix again. And now it's the milk. So milk is 1 cup. So I tried as well this recipe with vegetable milks, vegetable milk. The result is not the same. The taste is different. So I advise you to use the regular milk, the cow milk. You could use skim milk. There is no difference on the taste with skim milk and the regular milk, but there is a difference with vegetable milk. I try with soya milk, I try with almond milk, I try with hazelnut milk. The result is less good. So I know that, yes. So milk, 1 cup of milk. Milk, 1 cup, and slowly you introduce the milk inside the eggs. This way. And the final ingredient, it's the flour. So same for the flour, there is no substitute. You need to use all-purpose flour. I don't want you to have a raise-up flour, because if you have baking powder inside, it's you are making a pancake, an American pancake. So the dough do not need to raise up. Absolutely not. It's something very liquid. You could see that at my place. I show you this way. It's extremely liquid. It's only liquid. So now you could just add the flour. The flour, you need 100 grams. Flour, 100 grams, which is in an American cup. It's more than 3/4, but it's less than 1 cup. Flour, a little bit less than 1 cup. 100 grams of flour. And you add all the flour inside the crepe batter. This way. You mix. So now there is a very important question. It's about the lumps. Because you see, I pour all the flour this way. As it's traditional recipe, I all the time saying that's a recipe that French people are doing a lot. Most of the time, that's a Sunday morning. And okay, we are doing an apple crepe. So you could imagine a French woman, because most of the time that's a French woman who is cooking this crepe. In the kitchen, the kids are asking, Mom, we want an apple crepe. And Mom, it's Sunday morning. Mom is not very wake up and Mom wants to drink the coffee. So I'm always saying there is a French technique about the lumps, about what we are doing about the lumps. Most of the time, it's nothing, because we know that if there is very few lumps, if there is a lot of lumps, yes, continue to mix. But if there is only few lumps, we don't remove all the lumps, as we know that when we will cook the crepe, the lumps will disappear. So it's a French technique. It's not on the book. It's you are over the book, but it's what's really happened in a French kitchen. Quantity of flour, 100 grams, which is a little bit less than 1 cup. 100 grams. Flour, 100 grams. 100 grams flour. Yes. You're welcome. So 100 grams of flour, you introduce all the flour inside your crepe batter and you mix. And now I'm all the time saying that French cuisine is based on the pleasure to eat while you are cooking. So you will have to test your caramelized apple. And you know, this way to do the caramelized apple, it's exactly the same way for doing the tarte tatin. So now, but we will have to cut the apples in a different shape to respect the traditional tarte tatin. Consistency of the batter, very liquid. I show you. Up. Look, it's very liquid. You see, that's totally normal that it is very liquid. And you could see at my place, there are lumps inside. And as I said, I don't care, because when I will cook it, they will be removed. Think about, it's a traditional recipe. To be traditional, it needs to be easy. If it's not easy, it's not a traditional recipe that we will not do all the time. And now I suggest you to collect from your pan 2 pieces of apple, but do not eat it now, just right now, because it's very hot. So I show you my apples right now. You could see this is brown, light brown. I have different color. This is exactly that I want. This is okay for the color. You have the color. This is just like caramel, but don't worry if it's more brown, that's okay as well. The caramel, it's very good. You need to have a little coloration. If you have a brown, dark brown caramelization, which ingredient added in eggs? So you have 2 eggs, a 1/4 cup of sugar, 2 eggs, a 1/4 cup of sugar, a pinch of salt, 1 tablespoon of oil. Then you have 100 grams of flour. If the color becomes too dark, then what to do with those apples? Nothing, eat it, it's very good as well. Don't worry. Sometimes, yes, you are not looking too much on your apples, but it's okay, don't worry. And look, collect 2 pieces of your apples. I advise you to do that. Collect 2 pieces of your apples, because I want you to test your apples. You need, in French cuisine, we are often eat what we are doing all the time. You need to test what you are doing. If it's too sweet, if it's too salty, so it's important. We can also add some dry fruit if you would like, but today I will prefer that you will do not add any dry fruit, as I want you to follow the traditional one. And after, you will do your own and you will change it. And I will explain you something about toppings, and toppings needs to be your creation. So, but inside, I will prefer that you will follow the original recipe if you want, of course. So now I will combine the crepe batter with the apples. So I am adding all my crepe batter inside my pan. Temperature is on medium. Temperature on medium. Temperature is on medium. And something very important, you need to add a lid. So it's very important to add a lid on it. Can we use any alcohol with caramelizing apples? Not inside the caramel, but inside the crepe batter. You could use some alcohol if you want to. Yes, you could use calva, you could use rum. It's good as well. You could do that, but inside the crepe batter. So take care, if you are introducing alcohol, you need to reduce the quantity of milk sometimes. It's depending if you want to introduce a lot of alcohol or not. For my part, I'm not introducing alcohol because it's Sunday morning, most of the time that I am baking this crepe, and it's for the kids. So kids do not need alcohol for the breakfast. And now, if you have collected some pieces of apple, please test it and tell me how it is, if you like it. Because this is a recipe of the caramelized apple, and you could just eat it with vanilla ice cream. And most of the time, I'm adding some caramelized, I'm roast some almond, and I'm adding ice cream, vanilla ice cream, all the apples that I caramelize, and some flakes of almond that I roast before. It's the first recipe. So I show you why it's important to add a lid. So look at that. When you are cooking, it's very liquid, like you notice. And when you are cooking the crepe, it starts to cook by the edge until the middle. So temperature is on medium. So when you add a lid, it's very important because the temperature will be constant in all the pan. So that's why adding a lid is very important. If you not add a lid, you will burn the bottom and you will never remove the liquid which is on the top. Man, do we have to cover the batter with a lid? Yes, you have to cover the batter with a lid. It's really, really important to cover the batter with a lid. If you don't have a lid, you could use a pizza plate, a chopping board, aluminum paper, but it's really important to add a lid, okay? If not, you are burning your crepe and you will never remove the liquid which is on the top. And we will have to turn upside down the crepe. And to turn upside down the crepe, if you have liquid, trust me, I try, you know, sometimes you are rushing and you say, oh my God, I have to rush, but there's a little of liquid, so, but anyway, I will turn my crepe. And then you will have to clean your kitchen a long, long time because it's a physical law. A solid can be removed as a liquid. So the liquid don't let you doing that. So yes, you need to add a lid on the crepe. Now I want to teach you a little thing which are very, very French. It's most of the time, the first time that you are making your crepe, there's a difficulty on the temperature and you could burn your crepe. So that's why I told you temperature medium, do not increase it a lot. It's better to have time to cook it than to go too fast and to burn it. But if ever the first time your crepe is a little bit burned, so it's something over the track, I always say, you are in a French kitchen, you have the right to deny. No, I haven't burned anything. No, 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 no. It's well caramelized. Well caramelized, it's great. Burn, it's not good. And the second thing, you have to think that it's a crepe. In a crepe, you've got two sides. So if one side is not beautiful enough, turn it upside down and no one will see anything. When there is nobody, there is no crime. So, and as we are using caramelization, don't worry, the color could seems as burn, but most of the time it's not. Some of your students ask me, oh, my apples are becoming too dark. Is it good or not? Yes, it's good. It's just well caramelized, and well caramelized is good as well. And as we use caramelization, the color seems sometimes dark, almost burnt, but most of the time it's not. So don't worry about that. And the last thing that I want to teach you is I want you to add topping on the crepe. So the toppings need to be your own creation. So most of the time, for my part, I'm adding sugar, and inside my sugar, I'm adding vanilla beans. So like that, I have naturally a sugar which is flavored with vanilla. So at the end, I'm adding some pinch of vanilla, and this is very good. You could add cinnamon. Cinnamon is absolutely not French. I saw that on the suggestion. I have apple with cinnamon, but cinnamon is coming from US, and nowadays we are using cinnamon in French cuisine. But I remember the first time that someone suggested me to add cinnamon inside the crepe batter. I say, oh no, because cinnamon is not in my culture. I know that the combination with apples and cinnamon is very good, but in a crepe, it's no, I'm staying traditional on it. But as a topping, if you like it, please go ahead, because the topping need to be your touch, your own touch. So you could add cream, you could add anything you like. You could add honey with lemon, sugar with lemon as well. Anything you like will be the best topping. At some point, one of your students asked me, can I add some dry fruit? You could add it on the topping. We need to flip it. As soon as you don't have any liquid inside, you will need to flip it. So I will show you how to do that. So I know that my crepe is cooking faster than yours. So it's still liquid on the top. So to be exact, I add a little, you know, when you want to finish the bottle of milk and you say, oh no, it's just a little more of milk, and I add milk, and I say, oh my God, I added too much milk today. So I still have some liquid on the top. I show you. Look. So you see here, it's smooth, and smooth, that's totally okay. You could see there, this is okay. And here, you could see it's very liquid just here, too liquid. So I will have to wait. My crepe is not finished, so I have to wait a little bit. So, and you see it start to be hard, dry at the edge first, and then after on the middle. So it needs to be cooked a little bit more. But as soon as you don't have any liquid, stop to cook it to milk. No, it's more than it's 250 milligram. 250 milliliter, sorry. Yes, which is 1 cup. Yes. Do we need to flip it? Yes, but when you will not have any liquid, and I will show you the technique, but as in mind, I still have liquid, I need to wait a little bit more. To flip the crepe, as this one is a very big one, you can flip it like a very thin one. You can do this way. You will need to have a big dish, a very big plate. So you need to have a plate which is larger than your pan itself, okay? And then, so you have to take, if your plate is smallest, a piece of your crepe will be arrive on the floor. So it's very important that the plate is larger than the pan. You could use a cutting board, you could use the kitchen sheet if you don't have a very big plate. This is a service plate that I am using. So there is work in my building. I'm sorry, because I imagine that you could hear it. So I show you again my crepe. I still have a little of liquid, very little. So I need to wait a little bit more. Our crepe is cooked, so we turn off the gas. Yes, turn off the gas. If your crepe, if you don't have any liquid, turn off the gas to not burn the crepe. It's better. like that. You're waiting for me, and I will show you how to turn it upside down. You could start to think about your topping and to prepare the topping that you will add on the top of your crepe if you're already ready to turn upside down the crepe. To turn upside down the crepe, if you have some issue when you will turn it, most of the time I advise my guests to do something. So if you haven't used a non-stick pan, the crepe will stick the pan and you can't flip the crepe. So that's why I was insisting you need to use a non-stick pan. And so you will have to use a spatula to remove the crepe, and the crepe will be in 1,000 pieces. But I have a technique for that. I think that my crepe is ready just right now. Yep, yes, that's ready. I don't have any liquid. So look at me. I put my, you need to have here, just here. So I adding my plate on the top of my pan. This way, I take my pan up, my hand in the middle of my plate, and then very fast, I'm turning upside down my crepe. This way. But it's not finished. You need to cook the other side. One side is good, but the other one is not. So I'm adding a little piece of butter, just a little, no need a big piece. It's just to let grease inside your pan. And then to remove the crepe inside the pan, I do not use a spatula, because when you use a spatula, most of the time, your crepe is falling in different parts. So as it's not cooking the other side, it's swift, very easy. You just have to check your plate and the crepe is coming back inside your pan, this way. And now you need to cook the crepe something like 4 minutes, not more. Our apple is cooked. So now temperature is still on medium. So you flip the crepe and you put back the crepe inside your pan. This is okay. You don't need to add a lid. The lid is not necessary now because you don't have any liquid to remove. The lid was to remove the liquid and to not burn the bottom of the crepe. So if ever you have some issue and the crepe is not turning upside down at the way you are expecting, I'm always saying that it's not because it's not beautiful outside that it's not beautiful inside. So the crepe is still good, but the presentation will be absolutely horrible. So my technique for that is I am taking little glass this way, some little, lot of little glasses, and I fill up my preparation, which is not as beautiful that I was expected, in those glasses. And I add a topping and I say, oh, my friend, oh, you know, today I tested a new recipe, a crumble crepe. No one heard about it? You don't care. It's not a traditional round crepe. It's a crumble. And it will tasting as good as a traditional round crepe this way. So don't worry about the first time. The technique could be perhaps a little bit difficult for some of you, even if it's a very easy one, but don't worry. The title of a recipe is marketing. Change the title and it will be absolutely perfect. So our crepe is cooked, yes. Do you have any question for flipping the crepe? Is it okay? Yes. So now I show you my crepe. My crepe will be ready in 1 minute. Sorry, you can't see anything. You see, it's well colored, it's brown, and I will add my crepe in 2 minutes. I will do exactly the same process as the first time. I will flip flop the crepe this way. Up, I show you again. This way, et voila. So I haven't cooked a lot the second part. And now I'm adding my topping. So as a topping, you could use cream, whisper cream. You could use a dry fruit. You could use anything you like. Something which is very good as well, it's salted caramel with almond flakes that you roast. I love that a lot. So that's something that you could do. For my part, I will just add some sugar with vanilla. I love the sugar with vanilla. I love a lot of vanilla. So just a pinch this way. No need to add a lot, but as my sugar is very flavored, it's enough. And we did it. You see that it was very, very, very easy. So I want to have a look on, yes, on all of you. So some of you cooked the crepe. If you could show me your crepe. Yes, very good. Javi Vinayak. Ouais, bravo. Bravo, very good. Super happy. Yes. Sushil. Oh, yes. Raja, Tusha. Yes. Very good. I'm very happy that you did that. Yes. Oh, yes. I'm super, super happy because you followed the class and I can see that the result is very good. Vanish, yes, I'm taking a screenshot. Yes, yes, perfect. You were very efficient. I'm very happy. I can see that your crepe is very nice. Thank you for having cooking with me. Yes, bravo. Guys, really, I want to congratulate you because you follow very fast. And so for the one who did the recipe, what do you think about? What have you sprinkled? I sprinkled just sugar with vanilla inside. You're welcome. So if you want to start to eat it just right now, do it and call your family because I'm assuming that it's smelling very good at your place. And it's great to have the vision of your family, if your family is happy with that. And so call your family and start to eat it and tell me what you think about. If it was difficult, if it was very easy. And I'm always teaching very easy recipe because I want you to reproduce it. Because yes, I could teach you macaron, but most of the time, no one is doing it again. As it's a very long recipe, it's a very good one, but it's a very technical one. And most of the time, it's very difficult for people to reproduce it. You say, oh my God, I prefer doing an apple crepe. It's very few time for doing it. And super happy. So could you now take a fork and test your crepe and tell me what you're thinking about? Yes, the fragrance is very good. Thank you. Thank you. You did well. So it's because you did well that it's very good. Yes. So do you have any question about this crepe, this recipe? Anything you want to ask me? A question that I have sometimes is, can I use some berry fruit? And I always think no, because can we roll the crepe if you want to? It's me, I prefer presenting it this way. I prefer this way as a presentation. But if you want to roll it, yes, you could, of course. I always say you are chef yourself, so add your own touch. It's really important to have some space. You have a recipe, but you need to have space to do your own recipe. Oh, this noise is horrible. I'm trying to go far from the noise. It's better this way, as the opposite of my apartment. So yes, it's great if you could add your own touch in any recipe. If you want to be a chef, first you have to follow the recipe that the chef is teaching you. And second, you have to adapt the recipe of what you are. So, and then you have to follow your own lead. You will have your own touch. A great chef is a one who, at the beginning, you have to study, you have to understand how it's working. And after, you have to understand that you open your fridge, you open your whiteboard in your kitchen, and you say, oh, I've got this ingredient. Perhaps I could do that. And when you are able to do something without any recipe, you are a chef. It's my definition of cooking. And most of the time I'm cooking and I'm baking a lot, like I said. And sometimes it's happen things which are good. At the beginning you say, oh my God, I missed one ingredient for cooking this dish, this cake. And you say, okay, I don't have this ingredient, but perhaps I could use something else. And when you are using something else, that at this moment that you are creating. And I always saying that from mistake, you have your best creation. So, and sometimes it's not good, but sometimes it's even better than what you were expecting. So, think out of the box, even in the kitchen. When you don't have an ingredient, do not say, oh no, I can't do this recipe. Try to find something else and you will create your own recipe. And it will be absolutely perfect and you could do anything. After you are not afraid, but oh my God, this recipe is very difficult to do. No, do it at your way and you will have a very good result. So I think we finished with this crepe. And so, chef.
Thank you, chef. And it was an amazing recipe. Chef, I must tell you that, there was a myth, there was a wrong concept about the crepes all over, in culinary world, that actually they used to follow the Italian one, the thin crepes, and they used to roll the apples. So it was such a great recipe. And I'm sure that every one of us learned the actual French cuisine from you. We are very much thankful to you. And the way you have, made us this, the process was absolutely outstanding. It was the easiest process. You have shown us such an excellent recipe. And chef, one more thing, that since you are making this apple crepes as a sweet crepes, so if any chef wants to do some sort of innovation into a savory part, as a savory, using some sort of, so it is quite possible to make, not using a sweeter version, or if you are trying to make some savory part using some veggies or some cheese.
Sorry, because I tried, because the noise is horrible in my building. So sorry, could you repeat a little bit?
Chef, if I'm talking about, if somebody wants to make an innovation into a savory part, so can we use certain vegetables or cheese to make a salty version of this,
in this crepe, no, this crepe it's a sweet recipe. If you want to make a savory recipe, it's another kind of flour. It's a different recipe, and this one it's a very thin one, and inside we are on the top. Inside, we are not introducing anything. We are making the crepe with another kind. Sarrasin, I don't know how to translate that. It's a brown flour. And then we make very thin flour crepe. And on the top, we are adding eggs, cheese or eggs. And then we flip the crepe, and it's another kind of recipe, totally different. If you are inside the batter introducing cheese or ham or anything else, it's more an omelette than a crepe. So it's a little bit different. So for savory, it's another kind of recipe with another flour, and it's making a difference. You have to know that the crepe is coming from the north of France and not in the south. And then after, the appropriation of the crepe is all over France. Yes, the traditional French crepe is very thin, as you know, but we are making a lot of larger crepe. It's in the French kitchen. But I know that most of the time, people who are not from France are expecting the very thin crepe. So it's different. Yes. Yes, chef, something
right,
else?
chef. Chef, I think students will have some some questions. So we'll open the chat box for the students to ask the questions. Yes, there is some question coming up. Yes, you can ask the question, students.
Thank you for, I'm pleased that you finished it even. You could do it another one now. You know how to do it and you know how much it's easy to do it, Alicia. No question? So about another fruit, oh, I was milk. Which kind of milk? You could use regular milk or skim milk. I will not advise you to use vegetable milk. It's a little bit different when you are testing it. It's different. You could do it, of course, but I will not advise you. And about the fruit, I use apples. First, because apples are very French, and it's come from the north of France, Normandy. So, and as I say, the crepe is from the north of France originally. And if you use another fruit, you need to have exactly the same flesh than the apple. As we are caramelizing, you need to have a flesh with its not melting when you will cook it. So I will absolutely not advise you to use berries. Berries, when you cook the berries, they are turning in puree, and that's horrible. So for diabetic patient, can you use instead of the sugar? For the caramelization, you need to use a real sugar. I advise you the brown sugar because in the brown sugar, the glycemic index is lower than in the white sugar, and the quantity of the brown sugar that you use is less important than in white sugar. When you are measuring a quarter cup of brown sugar, it's in terms of weight a little bit less than 50 grams. And the white sugar, a quarter cup, it's 50 grams. And inside the maple syrup is not turning in caramel. You need to use a sugar because in the sugar you have two molecules, glucose and fructose. And when glucose and fructose are in very high temperature, the molecules are checked and turn in caramel. So for the caramel, it's just the real sugar that you need to use. If you just want to cook the apples, because inside the apples you've got some sugar, so you could use only butter and you are cooking the apples without anything. But using something else than sugar, it's not turning in caramel. It's just cooking the crepe. And inside the crepe batter, you could use substitute to the sugar. It's okay. Inside the crepe batter, you could use substitute. But for caramelization, just the sugar is the one you need to use. And if you can't use for diabetic patient, nothing. Nothing is better than something which is not good. So how much time we can store there? Most of the time, you don't have, I can't reply this question because it's eaten in less than 15 minutes. So I will say that you could store it something like 3 days in your fridge, and if you do it in advance, you could warm it up at the microwave. It's better when you do it at the last minute. There is another test at the last minute than when you have to wait for some hours. But you could keep it on your fridge for 3 days or 4 days. But you will never store it so long. You will eat it, and your family will take it from you and eat it in secret. And will say, "No, that's not me. Denied." Can we use maple syrup? I say no, nope. Sorry, nothing is better than maple syrup. Even if I like a lot the maple syrup. And if you use a maple syrup inside the crepe batter, take care because you are introducing a lot of liquid and less solid. So reduce the quantity of the milk. As the sugar is something solid, yes, and you are adding something else which is liquid, you will need to make a difference. It's too sweet. How can I balance? Just adding less sugar. So just reduce the quantity of sugar. Just that. If you want to reduce the quantity of sugar, you could do it without any problem. And most of the time, I'm reducing a little bit the quantity of sugar as I am eating myself with my neighbor as well, or my apple crepe. Can you please tell substitute of eggs? No, there is no substitute for eggs. If you're not using, there is only, in the crepe batter, you have only sugar. You could use a substitute inside the crepe batter. Milk. I don't like you using a substitute, but you could. Flour. There is no substitute for the flour. And eggs. And there is no substitute for eggs. I know that you could buy, I saw that in some grocery, that you could buy some substitute to the eggs. You could use it, but the result will be not crepe. It will be something else. But you could try it. As I said, do it at your way. If you are a vegan, so try to find a solution to have something which is good. I tried, but I'm not vegan, and I'm preferring the one with the eggs. So, ma'am, I tried without eggs today. But, oh, and which substitute did you use, Alicia, if you tried without eggs? So, Alicia, tell us, you use a substitute because the eggs are necessary to have a consistency and to have a hard crepe. Without eggs, you have something very liquid. Alicia, could you show us again your result? And yes, I tried without eggs. I added baking powder, refined flour, flaxseed. Okay, good, Alicia. So you did your own recipe. Very good. Very good. But you did something which is not a crepe, Alicia. You did your own vegan crepe. You did your own recipe. So that's why I'm saying you are a chef, Alicia. You create your own one. Good. Wheat flour, yes. The wheat flour, it's most of the time the one which is used for the savory crepe. So that's why I prefer that you are using all-purpose flour for this recipe. Yes. And you could find the recipe on my blog at deliciousbyemma.com. You have a lot of French recipe on it. And you will find this recipe that we made today. Like that, you will have picture, you will have all the steps which are detailed on it. And you will have the recipe. Which oil is the base to make it? Any kind of oil is good, but it's a non-favorite oil. You can't use, you could if you want to. Olive oil, sesame oil is not the one I recommend because you are using oil just for introducing some grease inside your crepe batter. So it even could be a mix of different oil. That's not, the kind of oil is not, I use sunflower. Mustard oil. I never test with mustard oil. If it's not a favorite oil, yes, you could use it with mustard oil. But I never tried with mustard oil.
Chef, mustard oil is having a very strong flavor, and it is generally not used in any of the continental cuisines. So I will also suggest that absolutely mustard oil should be no in crepes because it will infuse the pungent flavor of the mustard in, because crepes has a very delicate flavor. So mustard oil has a very strong flavor.
So listen to your chef. I totally agree with what he is saying. I never try, to be exact, I never find any mustard oil in France. So that's not a project that I know. Everything is okay? Yes. Any other question? No. Thanks. So, I hope that you will do this recipe again, that you even do your own recipe, that you will be different than me. If you want to, you could follow my lead if you want. If not, you could even write me if you want through Facebook or Instagram. Instagram is Delicious by Emma as well. So you could write me any question if you want to. Okay?
Thank you, Chef. Thank you very much that you are, you have taken out your time from your precious time, and you have, shown us a great recipe, an amazing recipe, and all the students. We have in our audience the students from first year, second year, third year, and fourth year, and the students. I think everybody has enjoyed this interactive cooking. It was a great learning, and we thank you from the PCT team. And thank you, Chef. I think you have answered all the questions, and we would love to see you in some other, in this culinary classes. Yes, and some other exotic recipes. Thank you, Chef, and thank you all the students. Yes, Chef. Thank you very much, and thank you all the students. Thank you all. Thank you all the students. And now we'll end this.